Hello, it is the Health Nut Diabetic here. Thanks for tuning in for another video where we talk about life as a diabetic and how to be healthy as a diabetic. So I hope this helps you if you're dealing with diabetes or helping a loved one who is dealing with diabetes. At the time of this video, I've not officially been diagnosed, but I am treated as and thought of as a type 1, latent type 1. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about my top 5 mistakes, diabetes mistakes, okay? I made a lot of mistakes before I was diagnosed and after I was diagnosed, okay? And so when I had an idea. So my first mistake was when I was 21 years old. Well, first of all, I need to go back further. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with metabolic disorder. When I was 21, went to a clinic and was diagnosed with really, really high blood sugar, which is generally a sign of a type 1, especially being that young, okay? That was my first mistake, was not pursuing that further. Both of those things, I didn't pursue any further. And again, the medical knowledge about diabetes, about latent type 1 diabetes, was pretty much non-existent back then as well, at least in the area I was from. I was not from an urban area or like an advanced medical area. Okay, so grew up in a very rural, kind of backwards, not great access to medical care, okay, area. So that was my first mistake, was not pursuing that further at a younger age and figuring out what was going on with my health, because that's not normal for someone who's 21 to have outrageously high blood sugars. And it's not really normal for someone who's 17 to be diagnosed with a metabolic disorder. Okay, so that was my first mistake. My second mistake was accepting feeling terrible for years. I felt terrible for so many years. Oh my goodness. I was exhausted all the time. I was thirsty all the time. I was hungry all the time. I had weight problems, whether it was going up or down, etc. I just had like telltale signs of diabetes for years and years and years. And I just kind of accepted like, oh, well, maybe this is part of getting older, or I'm not exercising enough, or I'm not eating healthy enough, even though I've been a health nut for like 20 years. That's why it's called Health Nut Diabetic. I was always following some kind of really super healthy eating plan. I was doing the best with exercise. I was usually really active. So, but I always felt like, oh, well, I'm just not doing something right. It's like, I'm not doing something good enough. Okay. So that was my mistake, was accepting that it was okay to feel so poorly and that I hadn't found the right miracle food or superfood or vitamin that would fix my problem yet. Okay, that was mistake number 2. Number 3 was not getting the correct medical care. Okay, I went to several general doctors. Again, if you're interested in what kind of doctor you should see as diabetic, I have a video on that. I will post the link below. That's a very important video in a different chat. However, I chose to just keep going to general doctors because I didn't have a choice. You needed a referral to get into any kind of specialist, okay? And they had to write the referral. So I would tell them over and over and over my whole host of symptoms that I had. And they would say, well, you're just not exercising enough. Maybe you're not eating enough protein. Maybe you're not walking enough. You need to just walk several miles a day and that'll probably fix it. And I guess they didn't really understand, like a lot of days I could barely get off the couch. I felt so terrible. Walking 3 miles was not an option for me that day. So my sugars were so out of control. I just felt terrible all the time. So therefore, I never got referred to the endocrinologist that I needed to get referred to until years and years and years had gone by, years of feeling very, very poorly, okay, and having very poor health and struggling and struggling and struggling and feeling like it was me. So I wish I would have pushed to go to an endocrinologist, or at least gone to a general doctor who would have done more extensive testing and helped me really figure out what was going on. So I'm sure there are general doctors that do that, but I never found personally one I went to never did. So if your doctor is really not pushing You know, you have to be your own health advocate. I say this a lot. Nobody's going to care more about your health than you do. Not even your doctors, okay? You have to be your own advocate, and you have to be an informed patient, okay, when you go to a medical care provider. So I wish I would have really pushed for more testing and pushed for a better treatment plan and an ability to see a specialist. Okay, that was my third. My fourth was being terrified of medication. I was absolutely terrified of medication for years and years and years. I was very much a part of the natural health community online, and I really felt that prescription medication would destroy my body and destroy my organs. I'm not saying it is great. I'm not a doctor, okay, but I personally wish I wouldn't have been so scared to try medication to help myself feel better. Does that make sense? Because I felt so bad that medication wouldn't have been the worst option for me to at least try to start feeling better. I had no faith really in medication. And then after I was diabetic, I was really scared of insulin for a while. I was really scared of something called pre-bolusing. I need to say that correctly. Anyway, I need to learn how to say that correctly. And that's a whole other topic for another video. That's a very insulin related thing. I'll do a whole chat just on that, okay? But I was really scared, let's just put it this way, of some common diabetic protocols and common diabetic practices I was absolutely terrified of. And I wish that I wouldn't have been so scared of them. I'm not now, but I really bought into the fear of being on medication, being on insulin, treating my diabetes. I kind of looked at it as like, oh, I gave up, you know, or maybe I didn't do something right, because we always read these things like food is like medicine and so forth. I'm like, I just didn't eat the right food. I didn't exercise enough, which just isn't true. I am the health nut diabetic. I do eat well. I do exercise. I feel so much better now that I'm on insulin. Yeah, because my husband always jokes, well, you probably haven't had an insulin for a long time because your pancreas doesn't make it. So yeah, I feel like 100 times better on insulin. This is just me personally. I'm a huge advocate for insulin, obviously. So yeah, I really wish that I would have gone on insulin years ago and not been so scared of certain diabetic protocols, treatments, doctors, etc. And even had a neighbor who was so sick as a diabetic, and his sugars were horrible. He was sick all the time, and he would refuse to go on insulin. Like, that's kind of sad. I mean, he would probably feel like literally 100 times better if he would just go on insulin. So anyway, but I was exactly the same. I was terrified. I resisted insulin. I resisted, you know, going on certain other medications for years and years and years. So yeah, that was probably my biggest mistake, and I think my last mistake I'm going to talk about. Then I will talk about other mistakes that I've made, like kind of after my diagnosis and after I started medication, because I did make a lot of those type of mistakes too. So I hope you enjoyed, and I guess this should have been called like 5 mistakes I made in my diabetic journey or something like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye.